Mevrouw de commissaris, mevrouw Kroes, dames en heren.
Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, mayors, for several years the City of Ghent actively participates in the battle against climate change, and we intend to keep the ambitious climate objectives high on the political and social agenda. It goes without saying that the Ghent municipality is quite ambitious in this respect. We want Ghent to be entirely climate neutral in 2050. We will not be able to achieve this goal on our own. Indeed, we will require the support of a wide range of stakeholders. As a local authority, we do not boast a large number of leverages as regards legislation and guidelines to incite citizens and companies to use less energy and to undertake other climate actions. That's why we've strongly been focusing on empowerment of stakeholders, as well as on creating opportunities destined to and in support of citizens who want to contribute in their own way, in view of making our city climate neutral. At the end of the 90s, we already decided to create a pedestrian area of 35 hectares, despite strong protest, mainly from the shopkeepers in the city centre. It is the shopkeepers who are extremely content with this decision, because this sizable pedestrian area makes our city pleasant for the people to come shopping. The initial fear, if people are no longer capable of driving their cars to the front door, they will no longer come and visit us, soon revealed to be unfounded. Today we see that citizens are frequently organising themselves and they cooperate to transform their streets into pedestrian areas, convince their neighbours to participate and try to get people to use their bicycles and public transport instead of systematically using their cars. Local companies and neighbourhood shops support these kinds of actions, even financially. As a municipality, we only need to facilitate, often to create space for these actions by effectively approving these actions and allowing them officially. Evidently, this is not a problem. They fit into the picture of our concerted objectives, and moreover, in times of economies on public budgets, it's particularly welcome that others also contribute their widow's mite. The Covenant of Mayors strongly emphasises the role of the mayor in the entire story, although I have some serious doubts, as I mentioned previously, about limited legislative competences and financial leverage. What we are doing as public authorities in order to coordinate these actions in view of a climate neutral result is to bring all these stakeholders in contact with each other and thus generate cooperation, as well as convincing additional stakeholders, companies and higher authorities to combine forces for the same objective. On an international level, we are strongly aiming at technological solutions. The faith in smart technologies is considerable. This is also the case in Ghent. We take pride in institutions such as Ghent Bioeconomy Valley, a public-private cooperation between the city, the university, our port authority, the East Flemish Development Committee, and various industrial companies. Today, Ghent Bioeconomy Valley is an NPO, a non-profit organisation which does not only restrict itself to bioenergy, but is also examining how a wide range of other bio-based applications are making life more sustainable and therefore improving it, hence the recent change of name. Moreover, the NPO has been joining forces for a considerable length of time across the borders with the Dutch biopark Terneuzen in Biobase Europe, the first open innovation and training centre for bio-based economy in Europe. I am personally convinced that the future of Europe will be determined in the cities and in regional cooperation. Biobase Europe is a formidable example of this. Let's return to Ghent, because even the first CO2 neutral companies are Ghent-based, namely Volvo Europa Truck and Stora Enso. As a municipality, we also initiate and support technological innovations. For instance, we boast a GIS-based heat chart of the entire city, showing which buildings are poorly insulated. We are the host partner of the Ghent Living Lab, and we are among the first cities to have signed the Green Digital Charter, in which we commit ourselves to reduce our ICT CO2 footprint by 30%. I would like to add that such technological solutions alone will not suffice. They are always a means, not a goal in itself. The Trias Energetica, the well-known three-step strategy to achieve an energy-saving design, emphasises that especially the decreasing demands in terms of energy is significant. Often this does not require technology. We need to adopt different habits, such as reducing the car use, for instance. That can produce miracles. It is always interesting to keep that in mind. I also see strange side effects of the Strategic Energy Action Plan, which is imposed by the Covenant of Mayors. There are cities in Flanders which think that an action plan is a climate plan, but they are mistaken. A well-balanced climate plan also involves energy poverty, the urban heat island effect, greenery facilities and water management, the use of raw materials, ecologic jobs, etc. If there is one thing we absolutely should not do if we want to undertake action against climate change, then it is only to concentrate our efforts on reducing CO2 emissions, because such an approach will most certainly not suffice. Today, in times of diminished public means in Ghent and in many other cities, it becomes increasingly important to start looking for cross-sectoral cooperation and win-win situations. We have come to the conclusion that stakeholders who are concentrating on energy automatically make the link with health, safety, welfare, etc. And evidently there will be even more themes that can be related to energy and energy reduction. Allow me to hark back on that previous example about pedestrian areas, pedestrian precinct. A parking space on the streets occupies 10 square metres. In narrow streets, this means that the pavements are that much narrower. This does not benefit accessibility and also means that facade insulation becomes impossible. Cars which are looking for a parking space are also emitting exhaust fumes and often cause dangerous situations. Moreover, there is literally no room for social contacts or playgrounds for the children. If we succeed in convincing people to use their cars to a lesser degree or not use them at all, and to opt for car sharing or concentrate parking spaces at the outskirts of the district, this will involve much more than energy reduction alone. The many square metres of space that becomes readily available can be used to isolate or insulate facades, to serve as a meeting area for residents, a playground for the kids, an additional greenery in the city, and to make the life of people with disabilities more pleasant. Reducing the car use also means less noise and a cleaner air. The advantages of cross-sectoral cooperation are enormous. Therefore, we cannot do anything else but maintain a broader perspective on the difficulties, rather than to merely focus ourselves on CO2 reduction. All stakeholders are constantly reminding us of this aspect, and we need them in order to sensitise the largest possible number of people for our concerted battle against climate change. That's why we must keep supporting their actions. It's these actions which ensue in tailor-made measures. They're adapted adjusted to the lives and the working conditions of people who wish to implement them. That's why we must allow the initiators to experiment with measures, why we should allow them to launch proper initiatives. On November the 7th, 2012, the Ghent Climate Association was granted the Eurocities Award in the category Cooperation for our approach within the association. It is probably the best proof that this approach is an excellent example for other cities. I would be inclined to say, if the shoe fits, wear it, or the hat. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, now that I am mentioning Eurocities, I would like to grasp this occasion to advertise, to put in a plug for the general annual meeting of Eurocities, which will be held in Ghent from November the 27th until November the 30th. This year the theme will be Smart Citizens, or how smart cities which have the dimensions of a city are using the creative potential which is to be found among their citizens in order to find innovative solutions for a wide range of classic difficulties in big metropolises, the big cities, with respect to counteracting poverty, providing environmental care, employment, integration and so on. It will be particularly instructive and therefore a real must, and simultaneously you'll be able to discover the beautiful city of Ghent. I thank you for your attention.